Welcome. It is quite a tumultuous time in our civilization. You can think of the current energy like a holding pattern, as if we are flying a plane through a hurricane and we have found the eye, the calm, peaceful center. I do not wish to alarm thee. I don't want to imply that what lies ahead is nothing but torrents and difficulty, but rather an acknowledgement. The turbulence of the now comes from a place of new truth. We are between two epochs of civilization, an interesting moment where we are collectively deciding what we are going to do about a certain fact of reality that is coming into play. The curtain has been lifted for many, and truths, both beautiful and difficult to look at, have been unveiled for us as a collective. Some gaze in horror and awe, others feel a deep sense of confirmation, a delightful sense of, I knew it, and others still flee, hoping that if they can somehow escape this visage, they can go back to the warmth of ignorance that they once knew. We are always free and sovereign beings who can self-determine and co-create with the divine. This is a deep truth. Yet the paradox of this statement is there are other forces that pull at us, so our freedom is not absolute. While a person can continue down the same karmic patterns they have known, or embrace entirely new ones at any given moment, there is a sort of gravity, a sea change, a current that drags us along, even though we occasionally would prefer to swim in a different direction. Do not despair at these things. Nothing that you have chosen for yourself is beyond your capacity, even if it may feel as such. We often wander through the wastes in the dark for years without understanding, with only the light of a deep faith to keep us moving forward. And even then, the mysteries of life, like someone cloaked behind a curtain, may never fully reveal themselves to you. This is not a statement of your value. This is not a punishment. It merely is. There are things words cannot describe, but I offer to thee in this time introspection, going inwards, seeking clarity within, seeking truth within. These are the tools and the tactics that you will need. The outside world is screaming because it is trying to distract you from the inner. And we cannot abandon our roles in the outer. If we have jobs to attend to, tasks to complete, bills to pay, we must do those things too. Unless you are amongst the few who are greatly privileged to have total control over their time, we have to find balance between our worldly responsibilities and inner space. And this balance is difficult because our world barely acknowledges and certainly doesn't respect the need to dwell within. Our religions are clouded and broken. They are pieces assembled like a mosaic from something grander that we have forgotten, and often preach things that are paradoxical or certainly too harsh. On the one, or on the other, there are many movements today that expound a sort of delusion that all that is required of you is to sit blissfully and dream of things and not do. There are, of course, exceptions to these generalizations. It is hard to speak of the whole ocean without sacrificing some of the wonderful detail that one can find if they zoom in. But this holding pattern that we are in, this strange time, is revelatory for those who are ready to embrace its wisdom. While there are many themes and karmic patterns in this life, for those that are here, you have known and now are beginning to see that a truer light is born in the darkness, that some of the most beautiful things humans have ever beheld, diamonds and jewels and rare earth minerals, even things like oil that power our civilization, are buried deep in the earth and suffer darkness, compression, and strife for eons to become polished, potent, and pure. You understand this because you have lived it, and it has gone on far longer than you would have liked it to. This I know, for it has gone on far longer than I would have preferred to, too. This holding pattern is like us collectively holding our breath and reassessing. There are many paths you can walk down, and there is not a correct one. There is not a multiple choice test being evaluated here. But there are preferable consequences. All that we are and all that we do ripples out into the world, interacts with other beings and the energies of the earth, and returns to us in some form later. These consequences are not always clear. There's not a straight line between your actions and how they are received, and as such, proper feedback is sometimes hard to come by. But I would not be concerned with this. What matters is you hold to the integrity that matters to you. What is important is that you seek clarity in whatever capacity you can. Meditation, insight, private, quiet moments, walks through nature, and a concerted effort to unplug from occasion. Society in the West, especially America, but also beyond, is a society of distraction and image. The glitz and the glam, the shining hills of Hollywood, are a veneer atop a lot of deep systemic issues, strife, and a very clear message from the earth that we cannot continue on the path we are presently on. And yet people persist, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, plod along, keep your head down. And many will choose this path because they are free to do so. They will try to keep their heads down, and they may even succeed. Depending on what stature they have in this life, they may be able to continue along in the dream much longer than you or I can. But vast fortunes shall be lost and exhausted in the pursuit of living a lie, whereas the gold of the truth is ever flowing. If you are like me, you see a world upside down, where mostly the wrong people are in power, where people seem blind to obvious corruption and greed, or at least apathetic and indifferent to it. It can be painful and difficult to try and hold any kind of integrity, truth, or universal principle in a time where the minds and hearts of people have been shredded so. This brief period of respite, certainly not long enough to heal the wounds of being buffeted by the storms of your past, but long enough to take pause, is here for you to decide, how will you re-enter the hurricane? Because you must. You will either be dragged into it, or, like a great wise bird, you can find the flows of the storm and use your grace and skill to weave yourself into it in a manner where those winds that were once harsh and buffeting carry you wherever you need to go. There is a compromise between the deep burning light of our soul and all that is beyond it. We don't get everything that we want, but we can have the conscious experiences in quality and frequency that we desire by holding those energies within. Think of yourself like an oasis, a sanctuary and a temple, and return to it often. Reverence and ritual, meditation and truth-seeking. It won't magically save the world, but it doesn't need to. There are plans and schemes beyond my comprehension, beyond our comprehension. And though we cannot sit comfortably by and do nothing, there there are limits to what you can do as a finite being, too. If you sit in the silence long enough, the golden wisdom, the iridescent rainbow sheen of your soul shall whisper to you. Some days it will be mundane things, cleaning your room, tending to your obligations, being more present with friends and family. And every once in a while, something strange will emerge. A task or a conversation, a call to express yourself artistically, and things that I could never describe. If one does these things with diligence and grace, the clarity of their life shall increase, and each day in the unfolding present shall be as good as it can be, which I know is not always a satisfying answer, particularly for those of us who have been being compressed and beaten down in a world that is asleep. It feels as though your integrity and your love for this earth is a punishment, because most have cut themselves off from the light of Source and the universal love of the universe. And as such, being connected to these things here is like walking up a stream, being pummeled by stone and currents, while you watch people gently float by you. You wonder if perhaps you should abandon all that is important to you as they do, and just surrender to that flow. There is no laser-guided karma. There are some truly nefarious, slimy people that will likely die with a lot of money in their bank account, never having suffered for the bad things they did to get it, at least in the material. And that may sound like an invitation to abandon your morals and join them. And while I do not believe there are eternal burning fires of hell or damnation awaiting them, as their awareness expands when they die, they will be forced to confront all that they did and how it harmed those around them. We become connected to earth and spirit again, but that process makes it impossible to lie to yourself. And for those that have been cruel and bitter, for those that have tormented the earth and their fellow humans on this planet, this reconnection will be brutal, to say the least. If you derive some sense of satisfaction knowing that they will have some uncomfortable experiences, that is okay. It is part of being human. The reward of a life well lived is not some eternal pearly gate. It is rather that as you drift gently and kindly back into the realms of spirit between this life and whatever you choose to do afterwards, your next incarnation, there will be a beauty without end, timeless in a way. You will see all the love that you brought. You will be able to stand proud knowing that you had conviction and that you were not swayed from the light and the truth by temptations, pleasure, or peer pressure. And I would offer to you that if you dwell within and find peace in your heart and dip into the infinite well and oasis at its center often, you will be able to live in this world much like the lotus flower that emerges from the darkness and the muck to be beautiful. It only grows in swampy, stagnant water, and its beauty is a part of that place. And you, like that lotus, can choose to be beautiful and radiant even in a world upside down, dark, and mad. But it is a choice, and the rewards aren't always immediate, and the challenges will be there. But the life that you can lead from this place, centered in your heart, is a life worth living. Dispel with the way our culture speaks of material outward success, and define for yourself what truth and beauty are, and marry yourself with great devotion to these ideals, and with each day, honor them Be present, and to the best of your ability, manifest them into this world. You will stumble and fall. You will fail. You will have to dust yourself off and try again. And all the while you will be loved by the infinite divine in its infinite emanations, all the gods, spirits, and other forces from history and those we have yet to meet. Swells surround and support those in small subtle ways that choose a truly aligned path. It is not the path of least resistance. It is not the path of defiant, intense resistance, but rather a beautiful balance, an integrated whole. And there will be times where, as we re-enter this hurricane in the coming months, you will be buffeted, but there will also be times that the swells and the storms shall lift you to new heights that you never thought possible. The key to all of this is to go inwards where truth resides, and to the best of your ability, to not allow the outer to seduce you. This is difficult, I know. Return to your breath, slow and strong. Return to the rhythms of nature when possible, and return to your own truth, that which dwells within you that no one else will ever understand. These are your tools. This is your way. And know that those that hold true to this integrity and truth within shall find rewards that will surprise them. It is not instantaneous, and we very rarely see it coming, but life unfolds in beautiful ways for those that decide to truly dance with the divine in all of her graces and her darkness. For the divine is all things, not just that which is beautiful and easy, but that which is dark, painful, horrifying, and hard. And that spectrum, that infinite rainbow of things that can be and have been, is beautiful to those that understand it more deeply. And to understand it is to not give it permission. We could live on a planet where all is good and beautiful, where no one starves and no one dies in a war zone. That is possible, but that is not our present. And the disconnect between the Garden of Eden that could be and the earth that you wake up to every day is painful, I know. But that pain is opening you, and that wound will lead you to the portal of the divine within you, if you let it. Go with grace, peace, and hope. No matter what happens on the outside, you are an infinite light of the divine, and all storms pass. So as we stay in this holding pattern of the hurricane for now, take some time to rest and prepare yourself for whatever is coming. You are held and supported in ways that I cannot describe. May you find the peace you seek within, beyond the veil.